The stage is set, the bright lights are on. Welcome to Obviously Fight Talk episode 54. Obviously Fight Talk. I said it right this week. I'm joined as always by #OneJobRob.
How's it going, man?
And we're missing in action. He was on a winning streak for a while. The big, dirty, filthy bastard that is Carl Doran is not with us this week due to work. And we will be joined as well by the gentleman Daniel Movahedi a little later on. And we'll also have Fightstore Media Alastair Magee on with us too. So this week, if you're watching us on YouTube, as always, subscribe now so you don't miss any future videos. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends on Facebook or the Twitter or any other social media platform you use, because word of mouth will only help us grow. Exactly, Also, comment on your opinion on any of the topics we speak about below, either on the YouTube comment section, so down there if you're watching, or on Facebook or Twitter post that we have. So, you know, a bit of interaction with our listeners is something that we
like
really
to talk.
Yeah, and Rob always answers and signs off with Rob as well. Yeah. And then, of course, a shout out to our sponsors, Fightstore Media, I nearly done it. Fightstore Ireland, for all your fighter needs under one roof, the fighter's choice. And we say it every week. And you want, they'll get you diamond grind guards to the best gloves. Check them out and get out to the shop as well in Kimmage. I'm right in saying, isn't it? I
think so, yeah.
Fightstore Ireland, great stuff. And look, I'm wearing my t-shirt this week. And to MMAmix.com. Basically all your news you need, everything they like and share, all our stuff. So check them out. They're obviously good, because they're with obviously Fight Talk. So your rundown for this week, we're going to talk a lot on this week, really. We're going to have our referee's corner with Daniel Movahedi, as we always do when he's bothers to turn up. We're going to have your obviously quickfire news. We're going to have a couple of interviews as well this evening. We won't give that away until they're done, because the disaster of the Skype machine killed us last week, Rob. UFC 208 recap and the fallout. We'll also be speaking a little bit about UFC versus Bellator. Has the gap narrowed?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. And UFC Fight Night 105, Lewis versus Browne. We'll have a little preview of that. Now, I do have to say, this weekend gone, we had the first Irish event went down in Drogheda on Saturday night. It was Cage Legacy Fight Night. I have to say, it was a big night for Irish MMA here with everything that went down. I'll go into that in a minute, but what an event.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but usually when you go to a show, you can tell you're obviously excited about the show, you can tell, but it seemed like there was a little bit more in that show. Especially from you. Everybody that I seen that went to the show, they said it was a really, really good show.
It was how I describe it. The venue itself was like it was like going to see your favourite band doing an acoustic set or something. That's the sort of vibe I had. It was like the Barbican Theatre, I think, is our centre. It's like a little theatre. So you had the bleacher seats on one side, and you had seats around the cage, and then you had a little stage area where the fighters came out. The atmosphere was just, it was lit. I'm going to get it young people. It was lit. It was absolutely, I mean, from fight one announcing, apart from when the mic cut out on me, but dealt like it with a fucking pro I was a pro. But the whole night, every fighter, the level of amateur MMA was fantastic. So your title fights, we're going to speak about one of them title fights a little ahead. But just, this was one of the first shows that basically all the scans and the MRIs and all the good work gone in from IMA was put in. This was the first show. So who better to quote than the president of the Irish Mixed Martial Arts Association than John Kavanagh himself. So this is just, John put this up on Facebook earlier today, so we will just share it. So Saturday night, 11th of February 2017 might go down as one of the most important dates in Irish MMA history. It was another MMA show with SBG Amateur going 2-2, with Kieran retaining his title in an exciting main event. But much more significantly, this was the first of all amateur show in which in the world where all athletes had a brain scan to ensure the highest standards of safety. I would like to take a moment to congratulate the promoter, Declan John Kennett, Yoni from Safe MMA, and Dino C. Wade from IMA, who all put in a lot of hours to get this over the line. Ireland continues to lead the way as an example of what can be achieved when a community comes together for the greater good of its fighters. MMA continues to be an unregulated sport in Ireland as we work towards our status of official national governing body. But IMA have continued to raise the bar of self-regulate, imposing safety standards on our promoters which are higher than any level demanded by any amateur combat sports body in Ireland or the world for that matter. This has only been possible with the cooperation of all the member clubs and coaches, and although we are competitors at shows, we need this united front if we are to continue to work together with the same goal of ensuring MMA's growth in our country. Again, well done to everyone involved, and let's keep progressing. That's coming from the president of IMA there, John Kavanagh. And like I said, the show was absolutely, from the first couple of fights were K1 bouts. They were fantastic. Then the MMA action kicked off, and like I said, they love a digging match up in Drogheda. It was absolutely phenomenal. But the night had one little moment in it that people's opinions were shared. So it was the Nathan Kelly versus Jack Maguire for the featherweight title. It ended with a little bit of controversy after a DQ for an illegal slam. So this went on to the magic of the internet that is the wonderful world, Rob, of Reddit. And Joe Lozon, none other than Joe Lozon, commented on it saying he felt it wasn't illegal. It was a perfectly legal slam. It wasn't a spear. So did Irish MMA veteran referee, one of the best in the business, Mr. Peter Lavery. So what we're going to do is we are going to let the video speak for itself. So if you're watching on YouTube, advantage. If you're listening, check it out on Fightstore Media. If you go on Fightstore, like they do, cover every event and have the best footage available. So we are just going to play just the last 15 seconds of the fight, and you will see the slam here. So here we go. So there you have it. That's the slam there. So like I said, if you are listening on if you're just listening to the show, go and check it out. It'll take you a couple of minutes. Watch the whole fight because it was a good fight. But if you just skip to 7:50 in the video, if you want to see the slam, the slam happens just there. But yeah, what's your thoughts, Rob? Your impression just looking at it there is first time line eyes, isn't it? Because I didn't.
It doesn't really look illegal to me. Like, he does land on his head, or it's, again, the angle's not great, but it's difficult to say. Like, how do you say it's intentional or not? We've seen plenty of fights end with slams that were probably worse looking than that, and they weren't given as a disqualification. So to me, it doesn't look like it was an intentional spike.
No, certainly not.
Again, it's difficult to say on that angle, and the referee has to make a split decision. So I wouldn't be outraged by it. I'll put it that way.
One thing I'll say as well, the referee, Mario Stomasat, is Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's a very experienced referee. Dan spoke about this with us previously, that he feels referees should have exposure in no positions and stuff like that. So Marius is a top level referee. So look, as Dan would always say as well, to quote Dan, he wasn't in there, he didn't see it. So it looked like to me, briefly for a second, the lights went out. With the slam.
It did,
and he sort of came to. The silver lining of this is that they'll get to do it again, and it was a good fight, and I look forward to watching that rematch. So with that said, let's get the beautiful Movehedi on, and you'll hear the now an early for you listeners, but the beautiful voice of Daniel Movahedi will be joining you soon. And as you can see, we are now joined by the gentleman himself, Mr. I'm not going to give out to Mangiram anymore because I've seen some of his fucking fights on the internet, Mr. Daniel Movahedi. So Dan, welcome to the show, brother.
How are we doing?
I'm very well, and we will be picking your brain pretty big this week in Referee's Corner. We have a couple of things. Obviously, with the big show at the UFC 208 at the weekend. But Dan, did you see the clip of the Fightstore media clip of the Jack McGuire Nathan Kelly?
Yeah, I did. Someone inboxed me this morning. I had a look at it and wanted my opinion on it. But yeah, I did see it.
Okay, so from referee's perspective, Mr. Movehedi, take it away.
Should it have been a DQ? Again, like I always say, no, I'm not the referee in the cage, buddy, and I can't see what's happening exactly there or what the referee's faults are. But it's hard because spiking or pile driving, so they say, is when you forcibly force your opponent's head down into the matted area with his feet facing up to the ceiling, and you're forcing his head into the canvas or the matted area. And to me, it didn't look that way, but obviously, as you saw from the footage, he did land awkwardly on his neck. But it's no difference than a suplex, and maybe the referee did make the right call. Did he make the call? Did he step in and stop the fight because the fighter was out and he took a couple of shots afterwards? Or did he actually call it because he thought it was a spiking motion? I don't know. That's up to the referee's decision on the night. You can only ask him. But to me, if I was a ref, for me that seemed like a legal technique, especially going from the takedown against the cage. Obviously, just pulled his leg from underneath him as he was going to the side, lifted him up, slammed him down, and unfortunately, just the way he landed on his head. I don't think he intentionally lifted him up to pole drive him and force his head to the canvas. And I think that's the key word, forcing the head to the canvas or the matted area.
So I'm guessing that it's based on intent. If he intended to do it, just like any other foul, if it's intended, then it's a foul or an illegal foul.
Yeah, and it is a tough one to call. I mean, at most, maybe it could be a turnaround to this decision turned to a no contest. But to DQ, I don't know. I would have maybe it would have been good to, like we were saying with the introduction of instant replays for the referee to look at. Maybe it would have been good for him to actually have another look at that. I don't know whether he did or not. I don't know if that facility was there for him to be able to have a look at that and see if he was stuck with his decision or speak to the other fellow referees and officials and see what the final decision would be. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and decisions made. Hey ho.
Just in regards to it, so let's say it's accidental. What would have happened if it wasn't waved off for a DQ? So because that literally happened at 2:59. So would it be the case where the fighter would have had time for a recovery, or is it no? Is it like 5 minutes groin strike, or is it no? The fight's over.
What for you mean? For would have call time, bring the doctor in, check him out, and if he's good to go, you continue. Yeah, quite possibly. But obviously with that, I don't think with that slam there, I couldn't see the fight continue because it was a big slam. And you're right, it looked like he was out. Then he came to. Then you obviously saw him start moving off his back. Even for that short 2 to 3 seconds that happened, and that's the thing. It happened so quick. And to me, it looked like the referee stepped in to stop the fight, like waved the fight over. It's done, rather than calling time, and then making it clear that the fight isn't over. I'm calling time due to what I think is a illegal technique, and then he should have taken the normal precautions that he should have. But hey, it is what it is. But
one other thing, Dan, would the fact that it's amateur, would that affect?
No, not really. Not with me. I don't think it would have, especially seeing how the fight was planned out as well, and it was such a great back and forth battle.
Yeah, it was a great fight.
It was a good fight, and I'm sure there's no way that the opponent wanted to win the belt like that. I'm sure we'll see a rematch. I'm sure it'll be a good rematch to put on. So yeah, and the great thing is that the fighter in question who had the slam done to him, he was still standing. He walked out of there safe. And at the end of the day, it's the referee's job to keep him safe, and I think he done that. So.
100%.
And moving on, because there was a bit of controversy coming out of UFC 208 in New York. It's obviously New York, a new commission, a brand new commission, so there's always going to be some room to grow, and I think that it was evident after that fight night. So a couple of things that came from the fights. The first thing was the big one. I think the most controversial one was the strikes after the bell. There was 2 strikes after the bell in the Holly Holm versus Jermaine Durandamine fight, both on Jermaine Durandamine's side. So explain when does the round end exactly?
All right, the round ends. Yes, when the horn or the bell is rung or sounded, but it's when the referee shouts time.
Yeah.
Okay. That bell and that horn is an indication for the referee that the round's over. Yes, the fighters have to, sportsmanship or whatever when that bell ends. But look, I've been in fights where the bell's gone and the guy or the girl is throwing a punch. And, it comes down to that intent. What was your intent? Did you throw it after the bell, or was it how you were halfway through that technique and it followed through after the bell? But like I said, when you hear that 10-second clapper for a referee, that's it. When I hear that 10-second clapper, you kind of do have a mental note of counting down 10, 9, 8, etc., till you hear the bell, and you position yourself slightly where you need to be for you to step in, and you need to step in and intervene. There's no good me saying time and me being on the other side of the cage or too far away or touching the guy's shoulders and calling time. I need to step in there so that if a shot is thrown after I have said time, then it becomes an issue of me deducting a point or giving you a warning.
Okay, I know. Just with that, Dan. So the first one happens, right? Fill me once, shame on you. Fill me twice, shame on me. So the first one, he did warn. He did give a warning.
Did he give a warning on the first one?
Yeah, did he not? As they were walking,
no warning on the first one.
I didn't see a warning on the first one. I saw a warning in the
second one.
Was it third round?
Yeah,
or fourth round? Because the first one happened in the second round.
Yeah.
I didn't see a warning, and this is the thing. To cover your own backside, you always have to give a warning, especially when you know a shot has landed afterwards. Even if you say, "Look, I understand. Look, you've thrown the shot. Just be aware. When I step in, just try to pull your shots back. It's good to do so. But look, if it happens again, I may deduct a point." Come to the second shot that happened again, I think the positioning of the ref could have been a bit better. Yeah, but again, I'm not the guy in there. I don't know what position I should be in. I'm looking as a fan through a TV screen. Anyone can criticise. He should stand there. He should do this. And as the second one happened, then it's after the second one he said to her, "Hey, look, I'm going to take a point away from you next time you do it." If he had given her a warning in the first one, it could have 100% warranted a point taken away when it happened the second time. But even if he didn't warn her on the first one and the second time happened, I personally maybe would have taken a point away.
Yeah, I definitely think a point should have been taken. Speaking, though, of position, there was another incident, same fight in the final round. The referee seemed to kind of step in between them before the horn even went. How do you strike the balance between getting close enough but not being too close to actually disrupt the action before it ends?
Listen, it's just, I don't know. Is it experience? I don't know. I don't know how. Look, at the end of the day, you're there to keep the fight safe, but you're there not to get in the way. If a guy's pulling a submission or if a guy's throwing a ground and pound, it's not just a standing position. If you're on the ground, you don't want to be right close to them. One, you don't want to catch a shot, and two, you don't want to get in the way of their techniques. If they're rolling back for an ankle lock or a heel hook or they're going for a guillotine or an armbar, you don't want to be right on top of them. And look, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you do get caught under the action. But I know exactly what you mean. In the fifth round, I think even the commentators commenting on it. Look, he's standing in between them. Now, he's lucky enough. And don't get me wrong, he's trying to do the job of where he needs to be. But again, usually you want to time yourself that as soon as that horn or that bell goes, then you step in. Look at perfect example, Anderson Silva and Brunson fight. Yves Levine, everyone's going, oh, look, Yves Levine jumped in. Oh, he's a bit aggressive there. But no, he jumped in when that horn and that bell went into that first round, I believe it was. Literally grabbed Brunson to make sure no shots were thrown, not after the bell or whatever, but just to be in there. He needs to be in the middle. If we catch a shot in between the fighters, so be it. That's our job. That's the risk we take as referees, to catch a shot or get hit. But we need to make sure we're in that middle.
Dana White was pretty open in his criticism. To quote him, he said, "I feel like the ref from New York shouldn't be reffing a main event fight. They don't have enough experience. He should have not been in there, but we don't make those decisions. The commission does. It was a bad decision by them." So Dana White, Dana is always very outspoken in these type of things. He doesn't hold back. He's basically saying that everyone's blown him up on his phone, saying, "What is it with this ref?" And giving out. I think the referee became very aware of it, and that's why the 10 seconds. That's what happened. He was like, "Fuck! I sort of made a fucking
now I have to make up for it."
But like, which is fine. Go on. I was just going to say, look. Whilst it was happening, look, like I said, even when I was just sitting down and watching on telly, I was like, what the hell? What's going on here? And look, everyone can be criticised, but every referee has a bad day. I've had some of them, whether it be minor or major. Everyone has a bad day.
I don't believe you. You're making that up.
And, you know, it's hard to criticise. You know, I'm sure there's many times where that referee has made great calls and, you know, everyone's praised him or hasn't said anything about him. You know, and that's the job. If you've done a good job when, you know, if you don't speak about the referee, but when you speak about them, usually 9 times out of 10, it's all negative stuff. You know, he maybe just had a bad time. Obviously, if you don't make that first call like that, like I said, you always want to make that first warning to the fighter. Look, if that happens again, then I will deduct a point. Then you've set yourself up. Even if you don't deduct a point the second time, but at least you've set yourself up to warrant a point being deducted. Look, I did warn you the round before that I would be doing this. So otherwise, if you don't, then you have the whole thing. Oh, but you didn't warn me last time. Surely you got to give me a warning first before you take a point away. You don't have to, but it just spirals out of control and everything just gets jumbled up, and you're like, before you know, you're like, shit.
Yeah. I think, to be fair to the referee as well, it was also a build up of questionable decisions throughout the whole card. There was people questioning the judging, in particular on the Derek Brunson fight. There was also a strange scorecard on the which fight was it? The opener on the Poirier fight. There was a weird draw. I think there was a draw scorecard there as well. So I think the fact that there was so many questionable decisions, it just kind of built up, and everyone was like, "Oh, the referees and the officials are terrible." So it all kind of came down on him in the main event. So to be fair to him,
I don't think it was terrible. We had some good referees. You had Dan there. You had Eve Levine there.
Yeah, but that was the perception that there was a few bad decisions and a few bad judging that people were jumping all over.
It is weird that Eve Levine and Big Daniel Movahedi were there and they didn't do the main event.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, in saying that, like a new referee is only going to get experience by being put in there. In fairness.
But I don't think he's new. I don't think he's like Browne. You know, let's be honest. If you're new, you wouldn't be refereeing UFC. I think maybe whether the pressure or whatever it is, and you know, let's not beat around the bush. It's a fight at the end of the day. All it comes down to, like people going, oh, but the horn sounded. She shouldn't have thrown a shot. The horn is there for me as a ref to. It's so loud. Well, it's not for a fighter to.
As Dan Hardy said, the fighter, the horn isn't for the fighter. The fighter fights until he's told to stop. The fighter's not listening out for the horn. So if he sees an opportunity, he or she sees an opportunity, they're going to strike and take it. And by that, if the buzzer happens to go in the, like, you're talking seconds, like, so they could be winding up a shot, and by the time the shot is thrown, they've seen it, they're waiting for something, and bang, they snap, and the buzzer's gone, and all of a sudden everyone's roaring, oh, you cheat. But it's not up to the fighter.
It's not up to the fighter, but without question, I think a point should have been taken on the second one. Without question. It doesn't matter if the fighter meant it, it happened.
It changed the same with blind strikes. Yeah, you know, you might be going for an inside leg kick on 3 occasions, and you end up kicking a man in the willy. Yeah, so you know what I mean?
We'll have to move on because we're running short. We have a guest soon, so we're going to try to get the quickfire news in really quickly. What I was going to say, I lost it.
Yeah, he's gone. He's fucking useless. Yeah. You can set the clock up because here's your quickfire news, but this one is more of a public service announcement than a news topic. So Conor McGregor's first scheduled appearance in Dublin since becoming the UFC lightweight champion has been cancelled, unfortunately. In a statement by the venue, the Red Cow Moran Hotel, it was confirmed that the reason is due to unavoidable schedule change that will see McGregor in Las Vegas at the time of the event. If you are a ticket holder, all tickets purchased via ticketstop.ie will be automatically refunded. If you purchase a ticket through the Red Cow Moran Hotel, you're advised to contact them ASAP. Before we move on, do you have any idea what the business we think McGregor is taking care of in Vegas?
Nah.
No. Did he say he was going
back? He's hanging them posters up that were in his garage training gym because they were on the floor. So I believe he's got new brackets and he's going to hang all them pictures up on the wall. That's what I'd say it is. It's nothing to do with Floyd Mayweather.
Absolutely. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that either. Didn't he say he was going back to Vegas for the commission thing? Something about a commission.
Yeah, but he's still trying to get his boxing license. So
he has the sorts of whatever.
So, this is your quickfire news officially. Ian McCall withdrew from UFC 208 due to illness, and this is not the first time that this has happened to McCall. He has recently withdrew from the Belfast card when he was scheduled to take on Ireland and Dublin's own Neil Seery. So, this was, you shared this, Rob, you broke this news to me. Ian McCall pulls out due to illness again on weigh-in day going to the scales. Is it a case of the cut is killing him?
I don't know, because it's not it's not really. It hasn't been him each time. There's been different circumstances, so you can't really push it.
Well,
all
it was
down
him
to
with it was him with Siri in Belfast because he fell ill.
Yeah,
and now it's him falling ill again.
Yeah,
second cut.
So two, it could be. You never know. Like, I'd say that's a tough cut for him because he's not that small, and he has fought at 35 before. So I'd say that is difficult, but I don't know. It's hard to say someone's unlucky because I don't really believe in luck. Like, I don't think that's an actual thing, but he just seems to be very, very unlucky.
You work at a bookmaker, so
yeah, exactly.
Did they actually say he was ill from weight cutting, or is he just
no? We're just doing what good journalism do and jumping the gun.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, even last time, was it when he was meant to fight in Ireland? Was it said that it was from his weight cutting?
Or it's just jumping to conclusions.
I'm jumping to conclusion, but I'm just saying. I'm asking the question, saying, is that?
No. But what I'm saying is, it's good. It's good that if they actually come out, look, he's got a case of flu, he's got a case of this, so we all know what it is.
I think it was flu, wasn't it? The first one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what.
Again, that could be.
Yeah, it was. We were partner because I was saying it's just cold up in Belfast, wasn't it?
That could be due to the cut as well. So.
Yeah,
but very unfortunate. You honestly have to feel for Ian McCall.
Oh, here we go.
Big time.
McCall was transported to a local hospital with gastrointestinal
stomachache
issues and was pulled from the card of the doctor's recommendation, according to you. What? So did he have the shits?
A gastronitis is when you got wind and gas in your stomach. Yeah, it's very painful.
That's weird. Yeah. So this Carl would have been all over this. He
couldn't
stop talking about fucking bodily fluids last week.
He might have got his wish with like a stoppage due to you know what.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's a bit. You want to see McCall because he has had a bad break. I know you were saying no look and stuff, but he has had a bad break and like hopefully he's well. Like, as much as we're joking about it, hopefully it's you know what I mean. Everything's good and he's all right.
Yeah.
That's the binger. So Dana White confirms while on ESPN Sports Center yesterday evening that UFC are heading to Russia. White said, "We've been trying to figure this thing out, how to get in there the right way and put on an event and start grooming some of the Russian talent." So this is a pretty big one, and there's a certain man at 55 who would be interested in the main event in this one. So what do we think of UFC to Russia?
Be a very, 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 very good move on their part because they have got lots of talent. Obviously, working formally on ACB back in Russia. They've got great talent out there. You know, they've got good fighters out there, and unfortunately, they don't get the exposure that they need, whether it be due to the language barrier or them being able to come, sorting out visa issues, whether it be coming to the States or whatever it may be. It'll be a good. I mean, that card is going to be stacked full of beasts. I for one are looking forward to it. How much is it? I don't know if it's going to be a pay-per-view or is it going to be a fight night. I don't know, but how much interest is it going to bring? That's up to the marketing team and marketing it right up. And it's good. It brings different competition for the likes of ACB or EFN who have got competition who haven't had much competition out of there. So it'd be good to put UFC in the mix for them.
Yeah, by all accounts, it seems like it's pretty big over there, especially the likes of Khabib. Apparently, he's a huge star over there. Now, we haven't really seen it because, they haven't run an event in Russia, but according to a lot of journalists and according to Khabib himself, it's very big and he's a huge, huge star over there. So it's definitely a no-brainer. They obviously haven't done it for a reason. It must be difficult to break into that market for whatever reason, probably regulations or something like that. So
fucking Putin. Putin, the only way you're getting in is if I can fight fucking judo on it,
yeah, fighting bears and whatnot. But yeah, it's a no-brainer, and I can't wait to see exactly how they put it on. Who knows? It's going to be a pay-per-view. I don't know offhand.
It will be a pay-per-view.
What's the time zone like?
I don't know. I'd still imagine it would be. Fuck it, I don't care about time zone. I still imagine it would be such a big draw with Khabib there.
You'd assume
it'd
so.
Be fucking huge. Yeah, absolutely huge.
No-brainer.
Yeah, big show, and the rumour is it'd be McGregor against Khabib if that was to come to fruition. Yep. So UFC's April's Fight Night offering UFC Fight Night 108 in Nashville, motherfucker, has a headliner. SBG's their Russian hammer Artem Lobov got his wish and will face the number 4 ranked featherweight in the world, Cub Swanson. The promotion has also announced additions like Alaquinta versus Diego Sanchez. What a fight. And Taslades versus Simon Alvey. Sam Alvey. Running joke. But Artem gets his wish and gets a top 5 guy.
Very strange matchmaking, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Very strange. Yeah. I think you can't really kid yourself where these are in the rankings. I don't know what the UFC's matchmakers are looking at. I'm guessing because Artem has a pretty big name, and this is not me shitting on Artem. I like Artem very much. I think he's getting a lot better. His last performance was very, very good. But Cub Swanson is ranked number 4. I don't know where Artem is. He's definitely not top 15. He's probably around 20. Cub Swanson just come off an amazing fight against Duro Choi. I thought he was going to get the likes of even I don't know, Bermudez, who was probably still lower, but someone in the top 5 somewhere there. So I think it's quite strange matchmaking. I'm not sure why they made this fight. I think it's because Artem still does have a pretty big name. But that being said, I think it could be a really good fight if they both stand and bang, as they say. I think which they will. It could be a very, very good fight. But I just think it's very strange matchmaking. Like it jumped off straight at me. Like, this is weird. I don't know.
Well, they had a Twitter back and forth, and Artem was calling for it. So yeah, look, I think Cub Swanson wants a piece of SBG anyway. Yeah. He was gunning for McGregor for a long time, and there's no good way of getting to McGregor than if he was to knock out Artem and then say, McGregor, you're next. That could be a way. Yeah. Cub Swanson is looking at this. I think Artem, a lot of people are going to rule Artem out in this. Artem has hands of fucking stone. The man can hit and knock out a cement truck.
That's the thing.
If Cub stands and trades and is willing to go hell for leather, that would be a bad idea, and that would be Cub playing. Like, Cub hits like a fucking train as well. Yeah. So
but Cub can take a shot as well. Yeah. He proved that.
Yeah.
So can Artem, to be fair though.
Yeah.
He can take a shot.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying it.
Yeah. He's breaking up.
Lost a little.
Sorry.
You're back there. Well, yeah, it's a barn burner of a fight. I think a great fight.
It could be a great fight, and it could be. People are going to write it off as not competitive, but if they both stand in front of each other, it's competitive. If they both stand in the pocket and throw, it's competitive.
Yep. A couple of other notable fights that have gone down is Jose Aldo is going to fight the Max da Holloway in Brazil. Brazilian media outlet Combat broke the news today that Claudia Cadela will meet Karolina Kowalkiewicz in the future UFC event. Cadela herself confirmed the news with the outlet. Another major strawweight fight has been confirmed. However, this one has a date. Rose Namajunas versus Michelle Waterson are slated to square off on the April 15th in Kansas City at UFC on Fox 24. So what do we think of them matchups? And I think they're 3 solid matchups.
Yeah, the Jose Aldo fight, I'm looking forward to. Again, it's going to be on his hometown. Back at home, that's sure he's got to be a big factor for him. But Holloway, I reckon he'll take that in his stride and he'll put a good performance up. I like to play the game of where does Aldo go from if he was to lose? What will happen then? Is it the case of, hey, I hang it up and I'm done? It's a good matchup, but it's a matchup that you don't want either fighter to lose because they've still got good stories to tell. Yeah. As for the rest, I'll let you guys discuss.
Yeah, Aldo Holloway had to happen. That's the best fight you can make in the featherweight division at the moment. Connor's not fighting at featherweight, so the match with Holloway, which I do prefer, it's just not going to happen at featherweight. The Karolina Kowalkiewicz or Kowalkiewicz, however you say her name, against Claudia Cadela, 2 former contenders for the title. I think. Again, that's kind of no-brainer as well. A number one contender fight. And as well, Rose Namajunas versus Michelle Waterson isn't off number one contender fight either. So I think whoever comes out more impressive in that could get the shot. Like, I could see if Michelle Waterson beats Namajunas, I think she could get the shot because they're putting a lot of pressure on her. They're giving her a push. They let her do that open workout. She had no fight. They let her do an open workout. She's now being looked after by WME, which is a bit of a conflict of interest. But 2 very, very good fights, and the Aldo and Holloway fight just had to be made.
Aldo Holloway, just quickly because I'm going to get buzzed out, surprises in Brazil. Holloway, balls of steel taking it in Brazil. The Claudia Cadela fight and Karolina is a fucking barn burner. I think Carolina's an absolute killer. And then the Waterson, Rose Namajunas is a cracking fight. So they are 3 high level fights, and as much as we spoke about quickly 2017 so far, you can start to see cards developing. Daniel, it's been a pleasure. We're going to let you go and we're going to get some as people always on.
And you're going to get me one of them t-shirts you're wearing, yeah?
Yeah, we will. Fightstore, hook a man up. But no, Dan, thanks for clearing up a few of the things around the spike and around. It's always great to get your insight on that. And look, listen, we'll talk soon, my brother.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You have to do your Borat. You haven't done your Borat.
It's nice. Goodbye.
Perfect.
See you later.
See you later, brother. There you are, Daniel Movahedi. And it's good, Dan, shining a light, referee's corner.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff, is sorted. We all have an opinion, but when you get it from a referee as class as Daniel, it's fact.
Yeah.
So it's not us fanboys just saying, well, that should be that. It's fact.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is you're going to hear the... And we're going to be joined by Glenn Irvine first.
Glenn the Beast.
Okay.
Irvine.
Back in 2 seconds.
So welcome back to Obviously Fight Talk, and I'm delighted to say we are joined by the Beast, Glenn Irvine, who's taken on Keith McCabe at BAMMA 28 in Belfast in 2 weeks? 2 weeks' time. So, Glenn, as you can see, Glenn is in his gym. So thanks for taking the time to come on to us, Glenn.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So big fight. Let's wind it back first to the debut in Dublin, where you took on John Redmond. There was a lot of trash talk, and not so much this time. Some of the greatest Facebook videos posted on your end. Just talk us through what's changed since BAMMA 26 and through the fight.
I just thought this time, instead of the whole hype carry on, because I just rather focus on training, working hard, and going in there and putting the work in. I'm not saying I didn't put the work in last time, but just different this time, No hype, no shit, just go in there, do what I'm training to do.
Because you were on a lot of radio stations and stuff like that as well, the likes of FM 104 and stuff like that. And yourself and John made like a gentleman's agreement, like with 30 seconds to go in the third round, you're just going to drop it. Was that just a case coming out in the second round where the two of you looked at one another and thought, fuck it, let's just do it?
I don't even know, to be honest. It was just I was frustrated in the first round because I couldn't get landing any shots. So I says to my corner at the end of the first round, fuck, I'm going out here, I'm going to hit him. So I went out, I hit my jab, I caught him, and I just hit my right hand. I think I caught him above the top of the head there, and I heard the crowd going mad. I just go, fuck it, let's go for it. I just sort of sweat. It wasn't the smart thing to do, obviously, because obviously I didn't, my distance wasn't properly around. I didn't have him in my range, and I just started swinging, chin line open, and fair play to Johnny. He put the head down, and he got a haymaker, and he caught me nice.
And then talk us through then, what happens then? You go back, you look at the game plan again. Obviously BAMMA talk about Belfast, and you're going, fuck right, I want on that card. So what was the headspace then? What was the game plan coming into this camp?
It was just basically I knuckled down a lot more in training. I focused on my errors, just trying not to overcommit, trying to get my distance properly before landing strikes. I believe I've worked that. I've worked it a bit. Obviously, you're not going to change everything in the space of 3 months, 4 months, but you can do it to the best of your ability. I think I've done it as much as I could. I'm just going to go in this here fight with a stronger mentality that he's not beating me. I'm going in, I'm winning this fight. End off.
And that's we always say that MMA fans are fickle as well, and they see one fight and they make an opinion on that. But let's just look back. Your 4 previous fights, obviously, were an amateur, but you beat Andres Binder, you beat Magee Karvinsky, you beat Ben Forsyth, who's now a light heavyweight, and you beat Richie Crosdale. Like that's a list of hugely experienced guys here. Like, you were feared in the amateur ranks, and you're carrying that through to professional. So moving with Keith then, coming into Keith, what do you see in Keith McCabe here? Obviously a teammate of your last opponent. So is this an advantage, or are you seeing something in Keith? He's shared cards with you as well. He was on the 26 card, if I remember correctly, as well. Yeah. So do you see anything in particular that Glenn Irvine is going to take advantage of?
I just see it as it's a more well-matched fight. Me and Keith was both, even though he has 5 pro fights, I only have 1. But that's not the point. The point was we were both on the amateur scene together. I just know basically that he's not going to take what I'm going to. If I land flush strikes on him, he's not going to take them. No chance. And I believe I never got the chance to land any on John, but I think it's a different fight. I'm not saying it's an easier fight. It's no way, shape or form an easier fight. Keith's a tough guy. He comes to fight. He'll stand, he'll bang, he can go to the ground. But I just believe it's a more well matched, well suited fight for me, if you know what I mean.
Do you almost feel that you would have been more suited to somebody less experienced in your debut? Did you almost regret that, or is it different?
Don't regret nothing, no. But obviously, it was my choice to take the fight. I wanted to turn pro. The opportunity came up. They've got John Redmond here. You want to take the fight? I could have said, no, give me someone I want to debut against. But Noah says, fuck it, I'll take the fight.
One thing we always talk about as well when coming up to fight camps, it has to help with so many of your teammates and training partners on the same card, with it being in Belfast, with the godfather of MMA as your coach there as well. Does that help that you are all reaching point, you know what I mean? You're all going to peak at the same time and fighting the same card, sharing it with obviously Reese and Norman as well, and Andy Taz Young as well. Like, there's so many that are getting ready for big matchups on the night.
Yeah, well, you can look at it both ways. You can look at it, there's so many fighters on this card from the same gym, we're on the same warm-up area, or you can look at it as this is a great feeling, great experience. We're all here, we've came here together. We're all going to go out and do it together. You can look at it both ways, but I'm just looking at it as it's great to be on the Belfast card against my teammates, and I'm going to go out there, I'm going to put on a show, I'm going to give it my all just.
Yeah, it seems like in the last couple of years, like obviously your gym has always been a really successful gym, but in the last couple of years it's really taken to a new level. Has something changed there, do you feel? Or do you feel it was just, these yourself and Reese and everybody just needed some time to progress?
Well, I'm only with Next Generation about 3.5 years, but it was always a top gym. Even before I went there, you had lots of top fighters there, and they just thrive off each other, if you know what I mean. And it gets better and better. And some leave, some stay. Like, do you know what I mean? But it's a good gym. It always has been. It's got the grit. When you have a coach like Rodney, that he's not saying, right, I'll bring in this coach, I'll get him to teach you. He's teaching us everything. He's teaching us what he knows, because he's been there and he's done it. So, it's people thrive off it in that way. But we help each other out.
Well, I have to say, to taking the time, you literally warming up and you came out and sitting in the back room, so you must be Baltic now. But thank you so much for taking the time and coming on to give us this interview so close to the fight as well. Hopefully we'll be speaking to you up in Belfast as well. I wish you the best of skill, and I can't wait to watch your fight, because your nickname is perfectly suited, because you are a fucking beast.
That was Alan Philpott gave me that, because we didn't really have a nickname, and he says we have to get a nickname, And he goes, everyone's coming up, everyone's saying Glenn Irvine's a beast. He goes, right, that's your nickname. So tune in and watch me anyway. You won't be disappointed.
Love it. And listen, best of skill, and we'll see you on the night. We might even have a beer after. All right, take care.
Thank you. All the best, guys.
And there you have it. Yeah, absolutely. When you see him, like the fight with Johnny was a great fight, and like certainly wouldn't take it away from Johnny. It was an absolute barn burner.
Yeah.
But I've seen Glenn fight a good few times, called him a good few times, and he is so talented and so tough. And
yeah,
it's like a fucking wrecking ball.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely learn from that fight. You could already see he was picking up. He was saying what he done wrong. He's smart. He was talking about how he could have taken someone at least experienced. He knows what he needs to do, and I'm sure we'll see an even better.
And what I like about it as well, he alluded to it, both Glenn and Keith would have came up. He did say it in the interview there, through the same ranks, and it's always a fight that so you're sort of surprised it didn't happen. And like as he said, you know what I mean, like 5 professional fights as well. Keith Butcher McCabe has, you know what I mean. So he's not again.
Well, Keith fights every couple of hours.
He's probably in a fight right now. But yeah, it's a big fight again for him, and he's not shying away from it. Like the lights got turned out against Johnny, and as he said, he doesn't regret anything, and he'll go. But he's a super tough fighter, so it's definitely a fight I look forward to see. So we are gonna dial up the young man from Fightstore Media. So we're going to hit up. Rob can do that while I fill the airtime with some airtime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to
spill the airtime
with airtime. So I want to talk about this UFC Bellator. The divide.
Yeah.
Is it getting smaller? Are we seeing the UFC, as much as they monopolise in so many ways, they are the premier? Hey, how are you? You're live.
Hello.
So no profanity.
How'd it go?
Great, yeah. Great. We're just talking with Glenn Irvine there. So we're going to go with the UFC v Bellator discussion here, Alastair. All right. So it's basically what we're looking at. I'm looking at as a pinpoint for me. If you look at UFC London, your main event is Jimmy Manuwa versus Corey Anderson. Now look at Bellator's main event, Rory McDonald versus Paul Daly. Now, realistically, them fights could be on the other card to one another, and no one would think any different.
Yeah,
like, I honestly think, Rob, I'm robbing what you said to me earlier. Well, yeah, you said, you know, if that could be a main event on the UFC Fight Night.
Yeah, could be a UFC Fight Night main event, and a very, very good Fight Night UFC main event.
Yeah, and it'd be high up on a card of a pay-per-view as well.
It'd be a co-main event, I'd say. Like, I think Bellator, you can't really compare the full card for card with the UFC. The UFC is still head and shoulders above Bellator. And not even in my opinion.
Is the gap...
I do think it's slightly, I do think we can talk about that, but just meaning right now, there's a huge difference between the UFC and Bellator. There just is. It's not even my opinion, that's just the way it is. Bellator don't have pay-per-views. If they did have pay-per-views, they probably wouldn't sell them because they tried it before. But what I will say is what Bellator are doing at the moment, the way they're signing these guys, and they're signing some, people who you mightn't agree with, like the whole Royce Gracie, the whole Ken Shamrock, Kimbo Slice, Dada, 3,000, 5,000? 5,000. You mightn't agree with those, but they're also competing for guys like the Benson Hendersons of the world, the guys like the Rory McDonalds of the world, the guys like Ryan Bader, who looks like he's going to be making his way to Bellator. So at the top of their divisions, and Scott Coker talked about it, he said that he thinks his welterweight division is the best welterweight division in the world right now. And if you look at the very top of that, maybe the top 6, I think a lot of them guys can compete with the best in the UFC right now. I really do. I think the likes of Paul Daly can be a top 5, top 6. Rory McDonald's proved it. And Koreshkov is a very, very good fighter. So I do think it's slightly getting closer, but there's still a huge gap. But I do think Bellator are doing some really, really good things. Really, really good things.
I like what Bellator are doing. They're getting good talent into the promotion, and you see them what they've done with James Gallagher is the positive thing to do. They're getting talent from around Europe and putting them at top of their promotion, attracting more fans, and the quality of fighters in the promotion is getting better all the time.
Yeah.
You can see that in the division. The divisions are getting more competitive as well. So they're going in the right direction. So I think they'll get a good foothold in the European market.
One thing my take on it is, and I know you started saying it there a minute ago, Rob, I just think the fucking freak show fights hurt them more. Right, you might get people in. It's like putting salad. It's like putting a plaster over a cut. It's a quick fix, but it's not the stitches. Do you know what I mean? What an analogy! They're papering over the cracks.
Which fights are you talking about?
Like the likes of Ken Shamrock in any fight.
But did that hurt anything? Did that actually
Kimbo
hurt?
sliced that at 5,000.
Is there any data to show that hurt?
Yeah, well, the data to 5,000 fucking nearly died, so he got hurt. Yeah, but that's no joking aside there. Yeah. But that's a point in itself. Is that one man nearly died because of that fight? And obviously, Jesus Christ, you clearly don't want that to happen. So in a sense, how did that get sanctioned? How did that get put on? How was that allowed? You know what I mean? So I think that hurts them. But legitimately, like King Mo Rampage, I like that fight. Rampage is on a little bit, and
that's a good fight.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good.
And I don't think people are going to look at that and they're going to say, "Oh, Rampage is past it." And I agree, he's past it. But don't look at me and say if the UFC couldn't put him in a pay-per-view co-main event or 3 fights down, they 100% would put him
talk
there.
That this is his last fight with Bellator. There's talks if he wins, he's going back to the UFC. So
might.
if that event and Page, do you know what I mean?
They do have a lot.
Go on, sorry.
Sorry. They do have a lot of older fighters, but they're employing more new, younger fighters as well, which is a positive thing for the promotion. If they focus on getting up and coming talent, I think that's the way forward for them, instead of getting these big money fights with people who are past their prime.
Like if you look at their champions, I have Bellator open here in front of me. Like if you've Rafael Carvalho, you have Michael Chandler, you have Eduardo Dantas, you have Phil Davis, you have Douglas Lima, you have Daniel Strauss. Do you know what I mean? Like there's good champions there. Do you know what I mean? There is good talent. Like Rory McDonald is a huge addition. I think Ryan Bader will be a big addition. Like Ryan Bader, Phil Davis is a good fight again for the title. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they've plenty there.
Obviously, the first fight was a stinker.
Yeah, absolute stinker.
But it's a good fight, as in it's a good matchup.
You have Michael Venom Page is highly touted.
Waves.
You have Benson Henderson still there. How long will he be there? Will he be there for much longer? But you've great ones then, and then you have Ireland's own James Gallagher.
Yeah.
Now, James sort of was quoting, and he was a little bit of trouble over something he said. But like Bellator, you're saying, Alastair, to become big in Europe, and I think that could be the secret. That could be the secret. The all opening key. You know what I mean? If they get they're gonna. Obviously, they're in Belfast here in a couple of weeks. They get a big following from that. They got a big following from Dublin. They come back to Dublin. They bring a few stars with them, and they build it that way. They start grabbing a few of these Russian boys. You know what I mean? ACB, I have a feeling, could be, getting a smack on the wrist there. I don't know what happened with Saul Rogers the weekend. He pulled out of the fight for whatever reason it was. I don't know what was said, so I won't go into too much details. Bellator, he'd be a huge addition, I think, for Bellator.
Yeah.
I think Saul Rogers is one of the best outside the UFC.
I think that was a good point, Alastair, bringing up the whole Europe thing, because one thing that I think has been noted since the UFC has been taken over by IMG, WME, is that they haven't really done a lot of European shows. They haven't really expanded into new markets, and I think that's one of their strategies. I think when the Fertittas were around, one of their big strategies, they weren't trying to recoup money. They were making money. That was all revenue. WME, IMG, they need to recoup money, so what they're going to be doing mostly is putting on shows in the markets they can make money in, which is the US.
Yeah.
So I think with Bellator, they have that opportunity now to put shows on in the UK, in Ireland, in other parts, like Italy. They've done an Italy show. They could do, I'm not sure they've done a Holland show.
Israel, they've done an Israel
show.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of opportunity there, and I think, especially Ireland, there's not that many shows in Ireland, especially at pro level. I think that is a great opportunity for Bellator to put on some good shows, and they have James Gallagher, who is a big star right now. He's a
good argument there you had with somebody, and James is like we had James on the show here previously, and you put up the most hyped guy in Ireland. Someone commented on the most hyped guy is Lloyd Manning, also on the show. We get them all, and you said it's we did say hyped, and James is hyped, and
to be honest, Lloyd isn't hyped, and that's not saying he's not a good fighter. He's a great fighter.
Well, Lloyd fighting obviously now in March 4th here for Cage Warriors.
Exactly.
The big finish blows him through the roof again.
Exactly.
And it changes in a heart. It's like just think of another fighter off the top of my head, like Will Flurry, who's fighting on BAMMA and Bellator. Will doesn't get that much coverage. Guarantee you, Will goes out and gets a highlight knockout. He'll be on every podcast, every news outlet. You know what I mean? MMA news outlet. You'll be writing about him. Like, no, that's not to say you don't. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Interview on the way.
Oh, look at this.
Look at that. It's like we knew. But but that's what I mean is that height is...
It's different. And that, again, they're not mutually exclusive terms. You can be hyped and you can be a great fighter.
Yeah.
You can be hyped and you can be a bad fighter.
Yeah. Well, I certainly wouldn't say hyped, bad fighter, and James.
No. I'm saying he's both. But if you're saying that Lloyd Manning, just for example, because that was one that was brought up, is the most hyped fighter, he's not. James is the most hyped fighter. But Lloyd Manning could be a better fighter than James. We don't know. They haven't fought. But you can make that argument. So it's a different thing.
That's a fight I'd love to see, actually, I have to say. I think it'd be a great matchup of styles. Speaking, we'll let you do the hanging here. Did you see what James said in relation to Bellator?
Let you do the hanging.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah, I've seen that. I read the article. Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I think for Bellator, it's good for them when they're the first show that came to Ireland or in connection with BAMMA, because it gives them a chance to look and see what's happening with the market, gives them a chance to look at fighters, gives them a chance to pick up some other fighters and sign into the promotion. So it's positive it is positive for them, but I can see the point he's making where they should have like bigger shows with bigger cards on their own. Maybe in future they might do that, but at the minute I can't see it's not hurting anybody with them co-promoting with BAMMA at the minute.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's taken a lot of the workload off what Bellator have to do. It is a very new market for them, and I think BAMMA have done a really good job in Ireland. They've put on some really good shows. They've filled the 3 Arena, and they're not the full thing, but they've filled the bottom level, which is hard to do. That's not an easy thing to do for like a smaller promotion. The UFC is different. It's just a different kettle of fish. So I think they're doing a really good job, and there's no harm for Bellator to be now co-promoting. There's no harm at the moment.
Yeah, I think what James said in some ways can be taken out to context. What you were saying, Alastair, I think is what James was aiming at, was in saying if they done a Bellator show and brought the stars, as in the big Bellator stars, like if Paul Daly was on it, if Rory McDonald was on it, if King Mo was on it again, if Rampage, imagine if Rampage Jackson fought in Dublin under Bellator, it'd be fucking huge, like, because people know him, you know what I mean? Like, you look at the reception Vanderlei Silva got when he walked into the 3 Arena the last time. So, like, imagine a Chael Sonnen or Vanderlei fighting, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm giving out about older guys or whatever, but like that, they're the names people know. They're the houses. So if they came, so James' point in that, 100% legitimate. The only thing I disagree with is that how many SBG fighters are on BAMMA? Do you know what I mean? How many of his teammates are getting a huge opportunity to showcase their skills on a big stage?
That's very true.
That's the only point I disagree, like, with the co-promotion, because like you look at Sinead Kavanagh now is fighting on the Bellator side of things.
Good opportunity. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Chris Fields is fighting on the Bellator. He's the main event, for fuck's sake.
That's a very good point. I also think my point from earlier where the money is made in the States. That's just the way it is. Yeah. It's made in the States. So if Bellator wanted to really push into Europe...
Bellator got spike money, baby.
If Bellator wanted to really push into Europe and they were doing it themselves, if they had to let loose their big dogs in Ireland, in England, in wherever, that's a big pill to swallow for Bellator, because you're not making the huge amounts of money that you'd make by putting shows on over, because it's on tape delay, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's on tape delay, which is, that's just not the same. So I think it suits them.
It's a fantastic way for Bellator to get more fans over here.
Yeah.
A brilliant way for them to get more fans. Yeah. And it's a brilliant way for Irish fighters to get noticed, because they're getting streamed across America as well.
Exactly.
So. Like that's a big thing as well, though. Like, as in, right, obviously the UFC is the pinnacle, right? And this is the point of the conversation we're talking about, is it the gap closing? But, if you get Bellator signing the best European young talent and showcasing it, all the fans of this young guy or girl are going to watch Bellator, and hence they grow, hence the fighter gets a big stage to fight on. I'll say hence again. Hence, they then have a great path to the UFC, and by the time they get to the UFC, they fought on big shows, they've done, and necessarily if Bellator keeps going the way it does, they mightn't sign for the UFC. Bellator could be big.
Yeah, and I think it's another argument we had, is the UFC letters, something that fighters want as much as they used to want to be, I'm a UFC fighter. And I don't think it necessarily is.
I still think if you're the UFC champion, it holds more water.
Oh, I completely agree, no doubt. But what I'm saying is, if you're getting paid X and you're getting paid Y by the UFC and you're getting paid X by Bellator, and X is bigger, which one are you going to go for? You probably go for Bellator. And that's for a lot of fighters right now, because I don't think it's just, and you have the sponsorship, you have, this and that. So I don't think, for fighters, I don't think that's a huge deal anymore. I think, a lot of fighters still want to be in the UFC because it's the more prestigious organisation. If you win the title, it's more prestigious, there's more eyeballs on you. But I think, a lot of fighters now are looking, this is the fight game, I need to make money. If they're making more money in one promotion, that's where they're going to go for the most part.
Yeah, I think wherever the money is, people would usually go now. It's getting increasingly that people are just, like, you see free agents and stuff the whole time now. I think everybody wants to test the market, and UFC isn't guaranteed to be the spot to go to.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's a great point as well. As I think the whole free market thing now, that used to be something that they'd go, and the UFC would be like, fuck off, you're going to sign for us. Who you fucking kidding? And it's like,
there was only a select few who actually moved away. There was Dan Henderson and the Verdum. They're the only really two.
But now it's like, Well, Frankie Edgar's not agreed his contract. He's going to test the waters, and they're going to be going, fuck Frankie. Frankie's a big fucking guy. You know what I mean?
Imagine that though. Frankie Edgar moves to Bellator.
This is a big thing. This is Frankie would make more money. He it's instant title shot. But I was using Frankie as an example. All of a sudden, the threat of I'm going to test the free market hold water this time.
Yeah, it actually,
and that's why I think Bellator are slowly but surely closing the gap. Like, the gap is still fucking Grand Canyon.
Plus,
but they brought the cement mixer to fucking fill a bit in. Like,
fucking terrible.
That's fucking good.
One thing I will say as well is we don't know Bellator's financials. Yes, they have Spike money, they have Viacom money, but they still have to be a company that makes money, or at least breaks even. So they can't just go out with their Spike money, sign these guys, pay them a shit ton of money and not make revenue. So we don't know what that's like. They can't just go out and sign everybody. It's just not going to work like that. Like, Viacom aren't going to say, oh yeah, we want to be the biggest MMA promotion in the world, so we're going to burn through our coffers. It's not going to happen. But it's a very interesting time for fighters and for fans. Just, like, I love it. Like, I love watching Bellator shows because first thing is, like, just they have some really good fighters, but also they have, like, lower level fighters who just go out and beat the shit out of each other, and it's good to watch at times.
We've seen a lot of Bellator fighters break onto the scene in the last 2 years or so, and their names are getting bigger and bigger, like MVP and Daly as two examples. And I think it's the perfect place for any Irish fighters to go to build a name for themselves.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Strikeforce a couple of years ago when Scott Coker was there, and I think a lot of credit has to be given to Scott Coker because he went to Bellator. There's been a few hiccups, a few controversies, but since he's got to Bellator, they've really pushed forward, and I think a lot of credit has to be given to him because when he started Strikeforce as a little kickboxing organisation, it wasn't even an MMA organisation, it was kickboxing. When he started that was tiny, that was really small, working out with San Jose, and he brought it up to what it was, and then the UFC had no choice but to buy them. And you could see the talent that he built there. Like, Luke Rockhold started there. Nick Diaz made his name there. Although he did fight in the UFC and Pride, a lot of the work that he done was there between there and Elite XC. So I think Scott Coker has to be given a lot of credit for what he's done with Bellator.
100%. But it's something that I think you'll see over the next few years. I think it will fill in a little bit, and especially. We spoke about it last week, the matchmaking in the UFC and some of the matches you even spoke about. It's a weird match with Artem and Cub, but I just think they're doing the right things now. Just stop putting on the fucking freak show fights. Moving on, let's recap some shit, and some shit could technically be the word for it. So the card that I fought and said, no, this is a great pay-per-view card, UFC 208, done something to me that not many, probably a first, has ever done to me. It put me asleep.
I wish Carl Doran was here to stand up just there and just at just this moment and just laugh.
He's a prick. Unfortunately, the eye has got the better of me, waiting in between from the Jacare race, which was probably the only finish of the night, let it be known. And Anderson, I had a little nap, and I woke up as Bruce Buffer said, "We are live," or "It's time." I woke up just then for the main event. But let's talk about the dregs that was 208. Disappointing card, I think everyone will agree. Only the one finish in Jacare, fucking ripping Tim Bosch's arm off. So, what fight stood out for you?
I'll let you go first, Alastair.
Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, well done.
Fight. Yeah. I'd say that was fight of the night, definitely.
Yeah, and not just by default. I think it was a very good fight. I think it was a very, very good fight.
Yeah, no. And if his leg is broken, he done some job to get through that last round with a broken leg. Like, he couldn't stand it at the end. That fight, I'd pay money to see that fight.
Yeah.
And Jacare's, the rest of them, some dubious decisions.
Yeah. Notable forgets. That Dustin Poirier Jim Miller fight was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
Jim
it was a brilliant fight.
fucking Miller
is tough as nails.
Unbelievable. But
tough as a $2 steak.
Yeah. Fucking go on.
Poirier's game plan was not to go into a brawl with him, and
he got laced in a few times.
Into it that they were in it.
Yeah, it was a great
so
fight,
back and forth the whole fight. It was great.
Yeah,
I tell you what, head of hair suits Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, I know.
He looks like a handsome
He
devil.
looks like Eric Koch. I was
He
like,
does look like Eric Koch,
One
yeah.
thing I will say, though, and we kind of brought it up earlier on, was 28-28. Where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah.
Where that scorecard
The
come
scores were weird. I want to just... Poirier's shin, holy fucking shit. It looked proper jacked up. He had to get a score, like, helped out of the cage, and even to the announcement. But Jim Miller, again, it was one of these fights where Jim Miller, he didn't lose by, you know, Carl's whole analogy. He didn't really lose in that loss. You know what I mean? He gained the Jim Miller reputation.
Jim Miller doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't really get beaten like outright, like really easily. He's always shows a
Glover Teixeira was an odd fight.
Yeah,
if Cannonier could stop a takedown.
Cannonier.
He could, Cannonier. If he who's the fucking MC here? If he had stopped the takedown, he looked like he had Teixeira hurt on the feet. He caught Glover in the first round, and it was quite weird. Glover tried to do the smile, and his whole ankle went from underneath him, going, no, you're actually fucked up at the minute. Don't be a cocky cunt. Glover done what he had to do. Got positions, got the takedown, and it was a different aspect.
Workman-like performance by Glover.
Workman, yeah. Gegard.
It was a tough.
Gegard. What am I saying?
It was a tough one for Cannonier. He should have. He didn't stick to his game plan. He got dragged into what Teixeira wanted to do, and it was unfortunate for him because a win over him would have been huge.
Yeah, big deal. Yeah, and unfortunately, again at that 205 weight class, it's just the same guys just sitting up there at the top, and it's just a carousel, just constantly going around like this and this and this.
You Souza then do what a number one contender should do to a ranked 13th Tim Bosch. Carl was probably quivering somewhere. Souza, I thought he ripped his fucking arm off. Quality, wasn't a flawless performance. Flawless, I think. Contentious one that people are giving out about, and I only watched today. Thank you to my nap on Saturday/Sunday morning. Anderson Silva, Derek Brunson was a unanimous decision for the Spider. Anderson Silva. What was your thoughts on that one, Alastair? Are you sitting in the controversial camp, or do you think it was the right decision?
Overall, I was disappointed with it, and if Brunson wanted to finish the fight, he should have went at Anderson in the final round. He didn't. I don't think he'd done enough, and he left it in the judge's hands too much. There was just too much pausing in the fight. Like, it wasn't free flowing. There was just, it was just an awkward fight to watch, and I don't know. It was very close. I thought it might have been a draw, if anything.
Yeah. I thought Brunson won the fight on the first viewing. We watched a little bit of it here with Noel, and it did look a little bit closer when you watched it again. I still think Brunson won the fight, but it's not a decision for me where, you know, it's horrendous. I do think, you know, it was the wrong decision, but it's not one like, you know, the really bad decisions that we've seen. But some of the scorecard, like 100%, Anderson didn't win that third round, so I don't know where that 30-27 came from. That's just weird. 29-28, I completely disagree with the decision, but fair enough. But he definitely didn't win the third round. Don't know where anyone could see that, but Japanese MMA.
I'm gonna say it. I thought Anderson Silva won round 1 and 2, and I'm not even doing it just to cause controversy and argue and go, no, he didn't. I thought Brunson, the first minute and a half of round 1, nothing was thrown. Anderson was waiting on Brunson, and Brunson was saying, well, I'm not going to attack you because that's, you want to counter strike.
Kind of like a Damien Moyer.
Yeah.
Fight.
But I thought Brunson landed some lovely shots in the clinch. Credit where it's due there. But I thought it was Anderson, octagon control. He was pushing forward. He was the aggressor, and he landed the better shots round 1. Round 2, close, very close round. Again,
they're all kind of close.
Brunson landed really big shots in the clinch again. Beautiful uppercuts. Anderson looked like he was trying to do what he done to Rich Franklin. Oh, poor Rich Franklin. But he wasn't letting go. And again, for me, I almost think if the fight happened again, Brunson might be a little more aggressive in the fight. I don't think he was as aggressive enough. He respected Anderson Silva too much almost. In it, it makes sort of sense when you've watched Anderson Silva fight. But I don't know. I can see why round 1 and 2 were given to Anderson. Even round 3, the first, because I said to you, something must really happen here. We're at 3:30 and nothing, because you said he definitely lost round 3. And I was like, Anderson is the one again, peppering the jab, landing the shots, and then Brunson took him down. And yes, Brunson won round 3, but I'm going to watch it again with my judge's hat on, really. But I can see Anderson winning round 1 and 2.
Disagree?
Hey. American MMA. Then your main event. This is where everybody fucking lost their fucking plot. Holly Holm. Did Holly Holm win the fight?
Yeah.
If that point was deducted, I'd say it would have been a draw. She didn't do enough at the end of the fight. She didn't listen to her coaches. She got dragged into a grappling match. And she should have stayed on the feet and boxed for the last round, and that would have gave her the. I think that would have gave her the fight.
She hurt Jermaine. Was it in the 4th round? And she stayed in the clinch with her. And the corner were screaming, "Push away, push away!" She was definitely hurt. Kickbox, Holly, kickbox, and she wasn't doing it, and she did hurt her at the time. Now, for me, again, I thought a lot of the fight was Holm trying to sort of.
Blitz forward
and landing shots, but she wasn't hitting that.
No, and she was getting countered as well.
And she was getting countered, and that's where you scored a point.
Takedown as well.
She was.
And it's just like she landed a big head kick as well, and that I was like, oh, here we go. But look, she should have got a point deducted. Should have got 100%.
Yes,
it wasn't a great fight.
No, it wasn't. And I'll put context on it. I don't usually score fights unless I'm like live tweeting or something. Then I'll pay attention. But
you just take it in and you watch it.
Exactly, you just take it in and watch it, enjoy the fight. So I wasn't really scoring it. But on first impression, I thought Jermaine done a little bit more. But again, that's not me scoring the fight. That was me just the vibe I got. That could have been the commentary. That could have been, a bit of everything. But there should have been a point taken. So I agree with Alastair. If there was a point taken, I think the draw would have been fair. It would have been hilarious if it was a draw.
But come here, what do you think of when she's getting interviewed?
Yeah, we put this. We put it up on the Facebook.
Well, no,
page.
there's a couple of things. I know what you're going to say about people being fuck off.
Yeah, fuck off.
Fuck you. But that's what Joe from fucking Wind Up Merchants comment was brilliant.
Reminding the father Ted. Yeah.
Spot on. Yeah. But she turned around and said, hold on. Yes, do my Dutch accent. Yeah, so I'm going to be out of the fight because I hurt the hand and I need surgery. And like the UFC had Cyborg,
you sound like Goal member,
ready to go. I would imagine to do a square off. So obviously, USADA has worked out well for Ting if they have her there and they're lining her up. Yeah. But already, so a lot of people were contentious about this division even being set up, the federal division being set up. And straight off the bat, the new champion has gone, I'm out injured for a while. So the only other 2 people in the weight class are going, what the fuck? So potentially the first fight in the women's featherweight division of all time was for a belt, and the second fight could be for an interim title belt.
Fucking see, it will be for an interim title belt. That's the ridiculous thing.
I hurt my wrist in the fight. It's a bit of a weird one. But what did you think of the crowd booing as well? Actually, it's what's your thoughts on that? You know, when fair enough, fights don't go the way, and it even happened with Masvidal when he beat Cowboy. Fair enough, it was in Denver. Yeah. But crowd, as Rob put up, like the poet that he is, just because you buy a ticket for the show, does it mean that you can be so disrespectful when the fighter who's put there?
I think there's 2 sides of the argument. There's that argument where you buy your ticket, you're allowed to voice your opinion when you're there. Then there's the other one where you should have respect for them. I was sort of annoyed at and going back to the BAMMA Bellator event, but King Mo against Ishii, they were booing in that fight, and that was disappointing to see, especially in Dublin.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a place for that in the sport when they're in the stadiums. Like they should just respect the decision. Yeah. Voice their opinions outside.
Yeah, fans get frustrated and they boo when she hands. And I think it was more so because of the illegal strikes that they're going, you know what I mean? You won that and you cheated in that sense. And like we spoke about this earlier, it's fighters aren't there to go, that's the bell out, stop, you know what I mean? That's up to the referee, and we spoke about that. So the fighter can only do the job and can only beat the person in front of them, and unfortunately if you don't agree with it, people are going to boo. Fair enough, a boo, I don't agree with that, but like being that guy and going, fuck you,
Yeah, that guy was definitely wearing a tap out t-shirt.
Yeah, or an Affliction one.
Yeah, Affliction's kind of worse, isn't it?
With a skull.
Yeah. Joe Tap Out are doing like the WWE gear now.
Are they?
Yeah, I've seen that on the internet somewhere. It's kind of weird.
Very good. Great point, Rob. Well told.
Drop some knowledge.
Dropping knowledge with Robert Pellet.
That should become a segment.
It should, yeah.
Yeah, we'd be robbing that from the fire and the kids.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, dropping knowledge with what's his name?
Shob?
No, not
Callan?
Callan. Brian Callan, yeah. Right, Alastair, we're going to stick you on Go Boy Boy, and we're going to get our next guest on, and we'll give you a bell back so we can swat up about the fight card at the weekend.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, so talk to you soon, my man.
Grand,
for you beautiful listeners. Welcome back to Obviously Fight Talk, and I'm delighted to say we are now joined by Team Rhino's own Andy, the Carlo Kid Murphy. So Andy, welcome along to Obviously Fight Talk.
Alright lads, how you getting on?
Yeah, very well, my man. So obviously you have a bit of a decent knock coming up now in the next few weeks. You're taking on Stephen Kilfin at BAMMA 28. So how's training and preparation going for the fight?
Yeah, training's going great. I know it sounds corny, but every fighter normally says it, but it's definitely the best camp I've had going into a fight. I feel really fresh, feel really good. I have a great team around me as well, which certainly helps. So I'm just ready to go. I'm excited for a nice trip up to Belfast, to be honest, because with my hectic schedule, to get 3 days up in Belfast be deadly now. Looking forward to it.
Talking about the team around you, you're currently we're ringing you from the marshes of Waterford. So you're in Team Rhino there in Waterford. We also take trips up regular basis up to Team Rhino headquarters in Dublin to spar. So is that something you've been doing in this camp, gone between the two Team Rhinos?
Yeah, well, look, the best thing about Team Rhino is that we've obviously got, like, Andy's got a number of affiliate gyms, and like I wouldn't be able to do this sport if I didn't have the likes of Team Rhino Waterford here. I train predominantly like with Miles Price and Mick Brennan then in Team Rhino Kilkenny, and then I go up every Saturday generally for sparring with all my other teammates in Dublin, which is like, I have a great crew around me. Like, I work a full-time job as well. I'm not sat at home picking my hole in between training sessions. I'm putting the grind in, supporting my family as well. So Monday I'm in Team Rhino Waterford, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday Team Rhino Kilkenny. Friday I'm up doing 10th Planet Jits with Rory McCann and Carlo, and then Saturday I'm up to Dublin, and then Sunday is just all family day, like, so that's what I do.
You take a day off and spend it with your family? What sort of fighter are you? But that's something.
Don't tell my wife, it has to be done. It has to be done.
That's something
she's probably the only person I'd be afraid of now, to be totally honest.
I'm in the same boat as you. Yeah, so that's something that people don't really see. We spoke when we had Reese McKee about it before. Yeah. This is Reese's first camp where he's actually not full-time work. So, again, obviously, that comes into play. So how do you find the balancing of time, again, with family, with work, and with training, to get all that in, the dedication between everything you put in your body being fuel, etc.? Just sort of talk us through the hard grind that is.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't see it, but you just mentioned the word balance, and that's exactly what it is. It is like a tripod for me. Like, you got work, you got family, you got training. And if you put too much effort into one or not enough effort into it, it falls over. So I find my training helps my work. Having a job obviously funds me because, to be honest, I'm spending about 100 quid a week just on fuel to get to training. So, a lot of people my age, or I'm getting a bit older now, but younger guys just be going out pissing away 100 quid a week, on drink and whatever. I'm spending it on fuel to better myself. I'm going to train with better guys. And just to be totally honest, you can find a way or find an excuse, and maybe a few years ago I was probably more gearing towards finding an excuse, whereas now, last couple of years, certainly with the Team Rhino affiliates, it's really helped me because it means I can keep training, whereas a lot of teams train at 6 o'clock at night to whatever, 8 o'clock, they're set times. Tomorrow I'm working 2 to 10:30, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the gym, where I work. So I got to go and train in the morning. I still get my strength and conditioning, even working. I get my spinning taught. So I'm staying in shape all the time. I'm lucky with my job in that sense, but it is all going. People don't see it. They see the way I look at it is like this. They see the show, but they don't see the work that's put in to get to the show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Is the ultimate dream to make this a full-time thing, or are you happy as this being a passion for you?
So good question. Like to be honest, I find that it just helps in every aspect of life for me, training. I just want to test myself against really good guys. You know, my last fight was against a good solid opponent, Richie Smullen. This fight now, fighting a guy, Stevie Kilfin, like, you know, he's from a very good gym, which I certainly respect as well. He got some great fighters up there, but, you know, I think he mentioned about fighters that he has around him, but, you know what, I've got a lot of fucking good guys around me. You know, like Miles Price, you mentioned Reese there. Like, we were getting ready for Reese. Like, I'm sure that's a fight that's going to happen down the line, like, you know. Fight, But, like, you know, we've got a fucking great crew down south, and I know the guys got a good crew down, or up north, and it's going to make a great fight. Like, you know, I'm just really excited for next week.
And that's something with your opponent now. His last fight, if I'm correct here, it was in 2012. So he's been away a long time. They talk about ring rust. That far away, you'd nearly have to break it if it wouldn't be rust anymore. Like, so it's interesting in that sense. Do you think that is something that'd be playing on his mind, or is that something that'd be on your mind, that you want to start fast, or would you sort of hold off to see where he's at?
Look, the way I see it, like, I'm focusing purely on myself. Like, you know, when it comes to this fight, all I'm seeing, I don't really see Stevie as such. You know, I'm just looking at targets. That's something that I've really worked on now, is that, like, test myself against bodies. I don't really care what way mentally he is or what shape he is, because I know he's going to be obviously at a decent level. Like, you know, the guy who's fought professionally, you got to respect that. Obviously, a break, it can work one way or the other. I fought after a 2-year break, and if I'm totally honest, I felt great in there. I was really excited to get back, so it can work either way. But for sure, look, the way I see it is I'm ready. So he obviously better be, but I'm sure he is as well, you know.
And speaking of your last one against Richie Smullen, you got caught, and everybody knows, like, Richie, in a way, he's known as a leg lock specialist as well. So I'm sure that's something you drilled. But, like, we're moving on from that. What steps forward have you recognised the hole in the game, and you've worked on something, or was it just a matter of on the night you just got caught by the better man on that night?
Look, there's no excuses. The better guy won on the night in terms of he got to his go-to before I got to my go-to. It's as simple as that. But one thing I will certainly say is that, you know, you spend a bit of your camp sometimes worrying about your opponent in terms of you're saying, oh, you know, he's got leg lock, or he's got this or that, and, you know, you put yourself you drill all these escapes, and trust me, I drilled. It wasn't like I got put in that position. I didn't know what I was in when Richie went, but I knew exactly what he was doing. If you look at the clip back at it, you know, I was trying to sprint the fuck out of there as soon as he attacked that foot. You know, as soon as my corner shout foot on the hip, I think he obviously heard it too, and he just ripped that. And, you know, fair play to him, he got it. But, you know, I was sprinting the fuck out of there. But I think sometimes subconsciously you can put yourself in these positions, then you end up in them in a fight. Do you know what I mean? Whereas that last fight, I was going up more. I was looking for the experience. I was looking forward to the experience of fighting on a big stage, BAMMA, you know, 3 Arena, this, that, and the other. But I didn't go in and implement my game plan. Do you know what I mean? I was more like just the first round, let's go and box. I didn't throw a kick, anything like that. Richie was throwing kicks at me. Hindsight's a great thing, but one thing I will say is I'm going up here to implement my game plan. I don't know much about Stevie, and I think that works really well for me. Because I can go and implement what I want to do. I'm not worried about what he wants to do. I'm just looking, like I said, I'm just looking at targets for this fight. Certainly training's going great. I feel great. I got good bodies around me. And like I said, I'm going up here with the intention to win. I'm not going up hoping to fucking win. Do you know what I mean?
And speaking about the family, I know a lot of fighters, partners, girlfriends and wives struggle with their wife. Does your wife go to your fights? Does she watch you, or is she the stay at home waiting for the text message type?
Guy Wallace probably in the back here.
I like his wife now.
I know my wife. Like, since I met Marina, she's been to every fight. I actually met her when I was getting ready for a fight with you. We're emceeing Man of War actually, and I won that night actually. Yeah. And funny enough, I was doing pad work in the cage, and she was doing a boxer size class, and sure, one thing led to another. And
there you are, Man of War. Forget the blind date. Man of War, love making, huh? Fantastic.
Man of War, yeah. So I was up there, I won that night, and I kept saying to myself, even in the third round, I was trying to get her to go on a date with me, like, the following week, and she was kind of saying in the diary, I said, I'll see if I have space in the diary or whatever, all this shit, like, and I was like, in my head, the third round of that fight, I was getting kneed to the chin a few times. I was like, I should come to Carlo, just survive this round, I win the fight, and she'll come. And she came to Carlo, got engaged a year later, married then after that, and now have a 1-year-old son. So she's very supportive of what I do, like,
That's it. It's good. They always say behind a great man is a great woman. I'm going to have to tell that to Stephen Moriarty now for this next Man of War poster if it comes back. To have Man of War, the greatest show, and then have also you could meet your future wife. You know what I mean? That's definitely a tagline. I'll get on to Steph for that. Well, look, listen, we wish you the best of luck. We hopefully we will be there, and hopefully we'll be speaking after you in the press room when you get that W.
Nice one, no.
So best of skill, my man, and best of luck with the rest of the camp and the weight cut.
Oh, lads, thanks very much. Well, weight cut is on point now at this stage, feeling great. So I'll see you up in Belfast, lads. It's gonna be a cracker of a show.
That's great. Days. Look forward to it, and thanks again for taking the time. Cheers, Andy. Take care.
Down, boys.
So there you are. We've a perfect Wi-Fi connection in Waterford. Perfect. They should be commended for the getting the word out in Waterford for the connection. So there you have it. Like, look, listen, this is what I love about when we have guests on here talking to Andy, absolute character. Yeah. And it's great speaking. We love chatting to the fighters and sort of good guy. Any bit of fun that. Yeah. So now we're going to bring Alastair back on. He's been doing his swatting. He's been doing his homework. So I hope you've done your homework, have you?
Yep.
Here we go. Perfect. So UFC Fight Night goes down. It is in Halifax in Canada. And it's a Sunday night card, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think it's a Sunday night card, isn't it? The 20th, am I right? Oh, it's a month. Yeah,
Sunday.
Yeah, 2 a.m. on a fucking Sunday.
Thumbs down from me.
I'm actually off on the Monday because I've Cage Kings on Saturday.
Oh.
And we've Three Kicker show on Sunday. You're probably doing both as well, are you?
Yeah, I think so.
Fightstore Media, they're fucking everywhere. Everywhere, aren't you?
Everywhere, every weekend, every show.
Fightstore Media, they're everywhere. So yeah, UFC Fight Night Halifax in Canada. Your main event sees it's Derek Lewis taking on Travis Browne. So the Black Beast versus Hapa Browne. There was a lot of talk of Travis Browne that he had left the amazing coach that is Edmund.
Yeah.
But he came out and said he hadn't.
Yeah, so what happened was he has moved, or at least he is training in Blackhouse for this camp. But his manager came out and said that he's not just training in Blackhouse, he's training in a couple of different gyms, and he hasn't officially left Edmund. And I think he came out and said the same thing. So that could be true, or it could be just being political and you don't want to come out and shit all over your former coach. But we'll see what happens. But I think it's a good move for him moving away from that gym. The win-loss record hasn't been good for Edmund. Apart from Ronda Rousey, if he didn't have Ronda Rousey early in her career, his win-loss record would be abysmal, and it's not great at the moment. But I really like this fight. I think it's a very, very interesting fight. I think with Travis Browne, he's coming in to prove something. I think Derek Lewis is has some really good momentum going into this one. And I think it's a really, really good main event for a fight night. I think it's a really good one.
You're enthusiastic. I'm going to just do. No, I think that's brutal. It's absolutely, it's a terrible card. No, this is like five-fight win streak going into for Derek Lewis. He's an absolute animal. He hits like the heavyweight division. They hit big. They all hit big. Yeah, but like Travis Browne, if you cast your mind back, Travis Browne a couple of years ago, everyone was telling this guy's the future champion. This guy's his footwork, his movement, the angles he created, everything. The front teeps that he done, and he knocked out. Did he knock out Overeem with a front teep? Yeah. But he just looked his angles that he causes, like for a heavyweight.
Yeah, he moves differently than a lot of heavyweights.
But then all of a sudden, since going to Edmund, he was plodding. He wasn't. He was just sort of in the one position, wasn't light on his feet, and was reverting to sort of sitting back on his heels. Yeah. And suffered a lot of heavy defeats. And that's the only thing about the heavyweight division, though. It's unforgiving when you get hit by a big shot. People he's lost to, like Verdum, Arlovsky, Cain Velasquez,
all good guys.
They're not bad losses.
Yeah, he's been in there with some good guys.
But yeah, this is a great fight, and I am genuinely looking forward to seeing Browne fight here. Travis Browne, for me, if he can get back to that type of form of a couple of years ago, like remember where he beat the life out of Brendan Schaub, like
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's if he can get back to that type of Hopper Browne, I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Like you just look through who he's beaten and how he's beaten them. Like remember the Josh Barnett elbows?
Yeah, vicious.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. We haven't really seen those.
I'm getting an aspirin even. I'm getting a headache. I need an aspirin even thinking about it.
What do you think that fight?
Yeah. I think it's a really exciting fight. Travis Browne needs a big fight to come back and announce himself back in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
He has so much potential, but as you said, since he made that move, he's just been a shadow of himself.
Yeah.
And Derek Lewis, I think, if I'm right, in his last fight, he was very disappointed with how he fought or something.
Yeah, it was.
And
go ahead.
He'll be desperate to put on a good show this time. And I love watching Derek Lewis fight, because when he gets taken down, he just stands straight back up.
Yeah.
Nobody can keep him on the mat.
I think what Browne has to do in this one is he has to utilise the reach.
100%.
He's 16'2" or something. He's a big. He's like 6'8" or something, isn't he? 6'8", 6'9".
He's a big dude. Yeah.
Like he's a very, very big man. It's 6'7" according to Topology, but he needs to implement that. And like I think what's happened to Travis Browne a lot lately was he was getting dragged into brawls.
Yeah.
And I think if you're getting dragged into brawls with Derek Lewis, it's a bad fucking idea.
That's not his game. Yeah. Like if you fight Derek Lewis, if Travis Browne fights Derek Lewis the way he has fought, even like the likes of Overeem, when he uses that long kick, uses his reach and moves a lot, he could win this fight. I think he would be a big favourite going into this fight. But the problem with Browne is Browne, if he fights the way that he used to fight, but the way he's been fighting lately, I think that kind of edges it towards Lewis. But the thing about Lewis, his last fight was a little bit disappointing. It went to the 4th round, and I think he lost all 4 though. He was losing the 4th round, and he lost the other 3 rounds. But then he got the finish, and that's what Lewis. Lewis has some serious power. And for a big man who doesn't look in the best shape, he has some good cardio.
Yeah.
In the 4th round, he put a lot of pressure on his opponent. The reason I'm saying his opponent, because it's like Shamil, Ab. Go and try it.
Dormanoff.
Yes, try that. But yeah, it's a very, very interesting fight. I do hope Travis Browne of old shows up, and if he does, it's a very, very good fight.
Hope he implements kicks again, and
me too.
And works Derek Lewis's body, like goes heavy with big heavy kicks to the body. It's good. It's a very good main event. And if Carl was here, he'd be arguing that this is potentially better than the shite show we had to watch the weekend. This is a big one. Johnny Big Rig Hendricks taking on Hector Lombard. This has got to be a must win, isn't it, for Johnny Hendricks? Mind you, I thought Johnny Hendricks won his last fight, but Hector Lombard needs a win. Johnny Hendricks really needs a fucking win though, because it's
Johnny Hendricks needs to make weight.
Yeah. Well, he's moved up a weight class, isn't it? This is
still needs to make weight.
Imagine if he doesn't make weight. Fucking middleweight.
That'd be insane.
Don't even mess with it. But I thought Hendricks in his last fight reverted back to a lot of wrestling against Neil Magee.
Yeah, I thought he'd done a good job.
I thought he did do a good job. Right, people say he didn't advance past getting the takedown in the guard. Only sort of got maybe at best half guard. But I thought he controlled the fight. I know you thought differently. You thought Magny stole the rounds at the end. But this is something I spoke about with Dan Henderson, with Roy Nelson, and certainly with Johnny Hendricks, is when you have that big knockout power that you just turn off the lights on somebody, they go to the well of it too much. And I was like, I'd love to see Johnny Hendricks implement the wrestling, because he's a high caliber wrestler. And he did do that, and he still didn't get the fucking result. So with Lombard here, like Lombard is known as a crazy fucking striker as well. And I think his weakness could be if Johnny Hendricks get him taken down. Lombard cardio is something, so if you keep taking him down, put him down, pick him up, put him down, he's going to burn his gas, he's going to blow his load, and that's happened a lot with Hector Lombard. I like Hector Lombard, he's an absolute beast. How he passes the piss test is beyond me, but this is a big fight for both fighters. I see the route to victory for Hendricks with the takedown.
Yeah, it's a must win for either of them, especially Hendricks. I think he's on his last call at the UFC. If he doesn't start to do something, he'll be cut.
The greatest fall from grace?
Probably.
Yeah, definitely. Like, since he lost the title, he's just hasn't been himself at all. Like, he's just
if he loses.
Yeah,
it's been frustrating to watch his fall. Like, he used to be such a good fighter, and now he's like. Hopefully, he uses his power in this fight to put Lombard away early.
Like, if you look at Lombard as well, like, Lombard's chin he's been getting hurt in a lot of his fights. Like, you look at that Dan Henderson fight was fucking berserk.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was absolutely fucking mental.
Yeah, a back elbow by Dan Henderson. Like,
it was crazy. Crazy fight.
I do think that Hendricks, if he starts to implement his wrestling list, it could be a route to victory. That's the path. But Lombard's a world-class judoka, so it's interesting. He has very good takedown defense, especially early. But if Hendricks can, put the pressure on him, I'll be interested to see.
I just hope Hendricks doesn't be shooting from fucking.
I don't think he will.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't think he will. But I'd be interested to see the size because Lombard has made welterweight somehow. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see the size comparison. I think Johnny Hendricks and Lombard would be quite similar in size. I don't think there's going to be a big difference. And I think Hendricks could be a little bit bigger, to be honest. I think he could be a little bit bigger in terms of actual mass. Obviously, Lombard is just an absolute bull. But I like this fight.
Yep. So that's your co-main and your main. What stands out for you elsewhere on the card? Anything else jump out at you?
I'm excited to see Jack Marsman fight again.
Yep.
He's a up and coming fighter. He got his first win in Belfast.
Yeah.
So excited to see him fight again. Hopefully he can put a few wins together in the UFC. Yeah. He's an exciting prospect.
Well, of course, Jack Marsden getting called out by John Phillips as well, an awful lot as well. The two Welsh boys. I really like Marsden. He's a big hitter.
Called out by the knockout artist himself as well, wasn't it? Yeah. Sam Alvey.
Sam Alvey called him out in the weirdest way, and John Anik went, who?
Yeah.
Who? But yeah, look, he's coming in, which is something you don't normally see with the UFC, that they match someone off a win with somebody with losses. But Thiago Santos is coming off 2 losses to Gegard, Mousasi, and Eric Spicely. So it's something that the UFC, I think we can almost drop that. That's because that was the old regime, the old matchmaker. Yeah.
Although you still have some of the guys that were there. I don't know if they brought in another matchmaker. I'm actually not sure. I should look into that. A fight that stands out for me.
What do you think? What do you think your prediction there would be? Do you think it's going to be I think mine would be Marsden, but knockout. That'd be my call. I just think he's a big heavy hitter.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
I think he's got a very high work rate. And just come on, Team Europe.
Yeah. I like the Elias Teodoro fight against Cesar Ferreira.
Is it because of his hair?
Yes, absolutely. It is.
Beautiful hair.
Yeah.
He looks like he belongs in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. This could be a really good fight. Ferreira is a bit hit and miss.
Yeah.
He can be really exciting at times. At times he can be a little bit disappointing. Teodoro, I still think Teodoro is a bit of a prospect. I think he has plenty of work to put in to actually get to the next level. But I think he's an interesting fighter because he's a good talker. His tweets are pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
And he's a bit of a prospect. So I like that fight. There's one other fight. Let me pull up here. Not that I like the fight, but I'm excited to see how Carla Esparza does coming back here on this one against Ronda Marcos, because she hasn't been on the best run, but I'll be excited to see exactly how she looks in this one.
Yeah, she's a very good fighter, and she hasn't shown that in the last few outings.
No.
So
the beating that Joanna put in her was one of the Jesus. Wow, that has changed fucking anybody. But in fairness, she bounced back. She had a win, but that was a long time ago now. And saying that
she didn't look great.
197. No, she didn't. Go on. For me, I always like Paul Felder. I always like watching him. The Irish Dragon. I don't know a lot about Alessandro Ricci, gotta be honest.
Ricci.
I don't really know a lot about him.
Not a huge amount either, to be honest.
Yeah, but no, I like Felder. He's always on Talking Broads as well with the lads.
Sarah McMahon as well has a fight on the card, and she got a big win the last time out. Sam Cecilia against Gavin Tucker. Cecilia, a big hitter.
Yeah. You're breaking my heart. Yeah, I like Sam Cecilia too. Yeah. He's fighting a guy who shouted out in Gavin Tucker. 9-0. Yeah, I do this all the time. It's my Mike Perry. Yeah, I'm picking the guy in the shout. No, Sam Cecilia, big hitter. Always in good fights. They're always manic fights.
Yeah.
It's a decent card, you know what I mean? Again, here's my, these are the guys that are hungry and up and coming. I'm not going to say it's a good card because look at the curse I put on fucking the
the difference is this is a fight night and there's some good fights on it, so I'm not,
Fight of the night. Who's fight of the night on the card? Give me your fight of the night.
Johnny Hendricks. And Johnny Hendricks.
I'll go with that too.
Lombard.
Yeah, I'll go with that too.
Knockout of the night. I know they're gone now, but like
Derek Lewis.
Jack Marsman.
Jack Marsman. Sub of the night.
Johnny Hendricks.
Very nice. Sarah McMahon.
Yeah, you fucker. It was all over Sarah McMahon there. It was.
Yeah.
Scout sub, yeah. So that's UFC 28. Obviously, check it out on UFC.com for the full card. Give us your picks. Again, like, comment, share, all that malark. So while I have you on, this is I'm going off the cuff. Rob hates when I do this. We were talking earlier about Cage Legacy. What was your thought? The first show of 2017 and the first show in a long time for MMA in the Republic. So what do you think of it?
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Deck Kenna is doing something special with Cage Legacy. He's cut a hole in the market and brought a new show, and it's brilliant. The
atmosphere was electric, wasn't it?
Yeah, like there was no space between the people around the cage and the fans. They're just right on top of you, and you could hear everything. Like it was just a cauldron of noise when the fighters were walking out, especially the two Clark brothers. And the fights themselves were good. They were quality fights for amateur level, and some of the best young fighters in Ireland were on that show.
How did Noel do?
Noel do? What do you mean,
I think he got screwed over by the mic man a few times.
Handle it like a fucking pro, though. At one stage, I'm stood there in silence, and I went, I don't need a fucking mic. I'm loud enough anyway. What did you think of your man from Mountain from Game of Thrones fighting?
He is an
George Palmadilla. Holy shit! What was he? 6'6"? Is he 6'7"?
He has to be,
if not bigger.
He's built like an absolute tank.
Mario Stamsat, the referee, is a big motherfucker, and he was like that. Now, when you are doing that, and he was dwarfed. He was the fucking biggest motherfucking man I've ever seen in my life. He was huge.
It's fair play to Ryan Spillane.
Yes, and Spillane was putting it to him at stages as well. Yeah. Very close. It looked like Ryan tapped just on the bell, didn't it, to the Kimura in the first round?
Yeah.
But it was on the bell and the fight was continued, and then George went back and was like, give me that fucking arm. he was like them. Yeah, I swear to God. I literally got out and go, he's got to be called fucking the Mountain. He's got to be called Mountain. He can't be called anything else. Yeah. So look, I'll do the thing I said at the start. So if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe now and don't miss any of our future videos. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, or any other social media platform that you use. Word of the mouth will help us grow. Also comment, like we said earlier.
Yeah, give your opinions.
Yeah, exactly. So that's 54. Big shout out to Carl Doran, who wasn't with us. Thank you to Daniel Movahedi, as always, coming on and spreading the knowledge in Referee's Corner. To Guy the Beast Airman for coming on earlier on. To Andy DeCarlo Kid Murphy. Great chatting with the lads. Great having them on. Alastair, great as always to have you on as well, buddy, and great write-ups during the week.
Really good.
Thank you.
Give your handles there. Go on, we'll let you give your handles.
Twitter and Instagram, Alastair_Magee, and Fightstore Media on Facebook.
And again, just leading us into that, thanks to Fightstore Ireland. The fighter's choice for all your fighters' needs under one roof. Check them out. Cool t-shirts just like this one and that one. And everything you need. Mr. Palin, it's a pleasure talking MMA with you every week.
It's a big pleasure.
Big pleasure. And I've been Noel, and this has been 54. And we're out. No profanity, no Carl Doran.